For your Caesar, Cardiff City right with me for your Caesar.
Yes, guys, I'm sorry. Welcome to Come Podcast for the first time and the last time in this international break because the big man's been down with illness. But did he miss all the painful football that we have witnessed? We shall discuss it all. And we'll discuss what's next for Craig Bellamys Wales, because this, for the first time, it feels like the manager's under a little bit of scrutiny, at the very least, if not pressure. There's been much more criticism of him than certainly in the early part of his tenure. I'm going to get into it all. But as always, I'm joined by Mr. Harry Trace. How are you, mate? You good?
Yeah, I'm doing well, mate. Yeah, recovered now, and back on it, because it's been a while since me and you spoke. I've not really made any content, to be honest, for like over a week. So it's been a needed little break. But I didn't manage. I still haven't watched the England game back, to be honest. I don't think I ever will. It being a friendly, obviously, all the focus was on that Belgian game, of course, and we were having a little text in the game, weren't we? But mental, mate. 7 goals conceded in 2 games. I know one's a friendly and it's England, wherever. But you're right. It is probably it's going to come with it's the nature of losing games of football. You have not have to, but you just naturally question managers' tactics and philosophies and all that things come into question, right? That's just part of the gig of being a manager, I guess. But it's been an interesting time, hasn't it? Because we've seen Bellamy come out and sort of obviously back himself and say that like my team did exactly what I wanted it to do, sort of thing. And I've seen some people sort of call for like on Twitter saying his ego's maybe getting the better of him. Some certain little comments like that. It's a good discussion point. So hopefully we'll get through all that today. But good to be back with you, mate.
It's well, mate. I tell you, I wouldn't go out of the way to watch the England game again. It was painful.
Oh, I'm not gonna, mate.
But what I do think, I think we did all right against Belgium generally, but the defensive side of it was just shambolic. But I'm more interested and concerned by probably the last 3 games going into the Belgium game, and then the Belgium game defensively was like the culmination of that. But the Kazakhstan game, we talked about it, like the midfield, we just got absolutely ripped apart. And, it was difficult because at the start of him having the job, he did a good job of different systems for home and away, different personnel for different oppositions. And he seemed almost to take people by surprise at how tactically aware he was. And that was encouraging. But I think what has been disappointing, at least for me, in the Kazakhstan game, the Canada and England game, whilst they're friendlies and stuff, so I don't necessarily put too much stock in them. I do put stock in that he played the same sort of system and it had the same sort of problems. And I didn't really understand why he was sticking with that. And I think, there's Cardiff fans who question some of his decisions and his selections and stuff. And even on Monday, and it's not just about like Ruben Colwell who was on the bench or Capaccio who's on the bench, because I definitely think that was one that sort of took me by surprise. When Ben Davies went off, I fully expected to see Ronan Capaccio, not because he's from Cardiff, like he's a Cardiff player, but because he's super quick and really, really aggressive. And he's really, really good at getting in behind and getting crosses in the box. So I'm thinking, well, that's a no-brainer. Move Nico to the left. Capaccio comes on and you're on the front foot trying to get back in the game. That didn't happen. And I just question some, I look at, say, Mark Harris hasn't been in the best of goal scoring form this season. I think it's fair to say, or even if you just look at it statistically, offers you a lot from a pressing point of view, but or certainly in the Belgium game, wasn't able to hold the ball up, wasn't really linking up the play, wasn't getting in behind or beating his man when he did get a ball. So it was almost like he was in there to press, which, as you know, has been my biggest criticism of Liam Cullen, is that is he just in there to run? Because there's other players who can run, who offer a bit more on the ball. But anyway, I thought Mark Harris did all right against Belgium. So I thought, actually, for 60 minutes, I thought he justified his selection to start. But I then expected to see Kiefer Moore with half hour to go. I'm expecting to see Kiefer Moore, and I'm also expecting maybe to see Kiefer Moore up front with Mark Harris, because you've got to get goals. You have to score goals. Now, of course, what let us down is defensively, we could get back in the game and we could see the goal within 60 seconds. But, I mean, we'll talk about defence separately. But for me, like I said, it's been the tactical shape of the side, I guess, over the last 3-4 games that has been concerning, because I'm not seeing the same adaptability and versatility that we saw early in his tenure.
No, 100%, mate. Yeah, you know, seeing the team sheet before the game, you know, we were having a little conversation when we thinking about what could happen and stuff. And did I expect that 11? I think I would have expected that maybe like 9. I really didn't think Sparky would start, to be honest. And I'm not saying he didn't do well. Like, I thought he did play well. Obviously, yeah. But, you know, when you're starting a striker, no disrespect, they've scored 2 goals in over a year for club and country, it's just like, it's hard to, you know, it's just hard to get up for that, isn't it? Like, as much as he works hard and stuff, and he offers other things that Kiefer doesn't, and they both offer, you know, very different things and very effective in certain ways. Like, sometimes I just think, is Bellamy tried to be too cute there and gone, oh, Belgium were obviously expecting us to play Kiefer. Why wouldn't we? Scoring for Wrexham. He's fucking 9'9". He's a threat. You know, Zeno de Bast isn't that tall. Neither is Arthur Theate. You know, it makes sense, right, to try and win that physical battle as such. But I don't know where, maybe this is where Bellamy's sort of ego has come in, you know, got in the way there a little bit and has gone, hang on a minute, I'm going to double buff these. Because they were very under the impression, it seems like. Courtois came out and said, like, we're expecting Kiefer more long ball, you know, like, not to, you know, maybe that hurt Bellamy and went, hang on a minute, no, that's not happening. It's not under my watch, we're playing Mark. I don't know, I'm just guessing. But, like, you know, there's obviously a lot more thought that goes into it than that. I'm not just saying he just made that decision based off that, you know, comment by Thibaut, but like, yeah, I don't know. That one just not rubbed me up the wrong way, but I just didn't think that would be the case, to be honest. Playing a back four with obviously Ben Davies, no disrespect, exposed to the best winger in the world outside of Lamine Yamal, really, or Rafinha. Like, Doku's on fire right now for City. Obviously, for Belgium, he is their threat. Trossard isn't quick. Like, he's not going to do Nico for pace necessarily on that sort of left side. Charles de Ketelaere is not that quick. He's just quite tall and can hold the ball up. And obviously, you've got De Bruyne. Like, Doku is their threat. And so I've seen it on Twitter. Someone said, like, that's probably the best individual performance that person had seen since, like, Mbappe played against us or something crazy like that. And I can't really disagree. I thought he was unbelievable. Like, he was actually unplayable. He had Cabango on ice skates half the time, bless him. And that's just the way it was, wasn't it? Like, he just ran ragged, like. And is that enough to deal? Like, I know Sorba's supposed to help out there, and Sorba sort of lost the ball, didn't he, for that first goal where Meunier has, like, obviously whipped it. It was a really good finish. Like, I don't say anything about the keeper there, but, like, Sorba should be coming back, I think, and helping out a bit more. But yeah, like, I think we were just exposed, mate. And I just can't remember the last time we played a back four, really, with, like, Cabango, Rodon, Nico, and Davis. Like, I can't remember. And it just, we got exposed massively on transitions. I really thought we did.
Yeah, I think, like, you know, if Dylan Lawler doesn't have a knock, does he play? I think he probably does. And I think maybe you see a back three then. But then it's interesting because I had heard in between the England and the Belgium game that they were contemplating a different ways to deal with Doku. It was, would they go with the experience of Nico, or would they go with the pace of Capaccio? But obviously he's very inexperienced, so he might get, you know, if he starts badly, it could be a difficult sort of game for him. But I didn't expect us to go with Ben Davies up against him, because that's obviously, you know, Ben's looked a bit leggy in some games for Wales recently. But I had assumed, you know, I thought we'd go in with a back three to that game and use Nico Williams and maybe Sorba Thomas and try and get at them that way. Maybe that changed when Dylan Lawler was unavailable. I don't know. But it's mad, right? That Kazakhstan game, Dylan Lawler's passing ability was a big asset. because that was how we were able to get the ball into Harry Wilson. Now, obviously, I think Jordan James coming back into the side and Ampadu back into the side, that helps you because you've got a couple of midfielders who do want the ball and are capable of taking the ball off the centre-backs. But, I felt really, really sorry for Jordan James because I felt that Jordan James had an excellent game against Belgium, bar one moment. And obviously that moment is massively costly. And it's just an instinct. He just sticks his arm out and it's a penalty. And I saw so many people. There was someone in the comments on the post show that we did saying that Jordan James should never play for Wales ever again. It was a disgrace, and he should never play in a Wales top again. And look, it's a bit of emotion straight after the game. I get it, but I did feel for him because he's a young guy, and I thought he was excellent for the majority of the game. But people forget as well, we don't have the quality. Like, we just don't. We haven't even got like a striker who's like a quick number 9 who's just either experienced and banging them in League One or even League Two, or we haven't got a young up and coming number 9 who's sort of 19, 20, who's banging them in the Championship or League One. We just don't have it. Like, we have Kiefer Moore, who's experienced and can have sort of patches of scoring goals, but we just don't have the depth in quality. And I think sometimes people forget that. Like, there's only so many combinations of players you can play. But then on the flip side of that, I think that's why people get frustrated when you need to win a football match, and it goes back to Robert Page, mate, in that playoff. Yes, we don't have the biggest depth of talent, but if you've got a bench that has some talent on it and you don't use it, and you make puzzling decisions or subs, I feel like you open yourself up to a bit of questions at the very least. Now, I'm not saying, for instance, that if Ruben Colwell had come on against Belgium, maybe he comes on as a nightmare and looks out of his depth. But he's so awkward to play against. He can carry the ball. He can do something out of nothing. And you've got to get back into the game. Like, you've got to score goals. So why not just chuck him on for 10 minutes and see if he can just do something? We've all seen him do ridiculous things. Maybe he can do it, especially because he wants to prove a point to the manager. But it was the one that threw me, mate. Honestly, it was like Kiefer Moore coming on with 5 minutes to go.
I was just going to say that, mate, honestly, genuinely.
But also, when Ben Davies went off, I couldn't fathom Kapaki not coming on. Like, that seemed like a no-brainer to me, because I thought Sorba Thomas did well on the ball.
He was a threat, wasn't he?
Defensively, I just thought, like, I know that's not his natural game, but he did not help his defensive teammates. No. You mentioned the first goal, but also I think it's the pullback at the end. Him and Cabango just don't seem to read it at all. All right, Cabango's got his eye on 2 forwards and he's got a gamble. Does he go sort of towards the ball, or does he hang back for the person at the back post and a cut back? But Sorba Thomas can see the guy. Yeah. And he should be busting the guy. He knows we just scored. We've got back into the game. Whatever happens, don't concede a goal now. And he just stands sort of jogging back, watching the guy, in the penalty area free. And it's disappointing, mate, because I thought Belgium defensively were quite poor.
Oh, mate, they were there for the taking. Genuinely, their centre backs are so exposed in certain ways. Like, they haven't really got much sort of physicality nor legs. Like, they're very good ball playing centre backs, and we just didn't really trouble them, to be honest, did we? Like, we didn't. Like, I think Bellamy actually came out and sort of, because he would have managed Zeno de Bast at Anderlecht back in the day whilst Doku was there and stuff. They all came through the same academy, and he's known him since probably 14, 15, and he knew his sort of insecurities and his weaknesses, and he I guess trying to play Mark there would maybe sort of expose that in some way. And I don't really think we did enough. Does Kiefer expose him in another way again? Yeah, probably. But bringing him on for fucking 4 minutes, bless him. Like, what chance has he got? So
no, of course not.
Do you know what I mean?
And even like like Sorba Thomas towards the end was getting tired, and his crosses were tired, like they weren't beating the the first man. And you're just like, you have players on the bench. You have players on the bench. Even if you want to do a like for like, you've got players who can
bring Kumas on and let him just run at him.
Some legs.
Yeah.
Well, there's a question to be. There's got to be a discussion about Brennan Johnson, mate, because
yeah, I know
he just like I don't know whether I would assume right that he's very proud to play for Wales and he likes internationals and blah blah blah, but honestly, just looks like he doesn't care. Like he just looks not asked. Now maybe it's his. Like some players have just got like that sort of
their demeanor. They're just
language demeanor. They're chilled. They're really calm and chilled out. And maybe it's just that. But he does it's not helping because every time he plays, he seems to not really contribute a great deal. And I think then when you've got players like Kumas who looked quite dangerous the other day when he came on.
Yeah.
What game was that? Was that the England game? There was a game this international break. He came on.
He's definitely come on recently, haven't he?
And he came on and he looked quite dangerous. He was direct. He was quick.
Yeah.
And I just thought maybe that would have done enough for him to, just to do something like. And even like the match day squad, like, and people who watch the channel regular will know I am always a big proponent of this. But like to me, when you go into a must-win game, I'm taking the bare minimum defensive players. And I'm trying to load up my attacking and creative options. So I've got a keeper. I've got, one or two, maybe one fullback and one centre back. But then I've got someone who can maybe do like a range of the three as well. And then the rest of my subs, I'm looking at wingers, 10s, strikers, creative midfielders. So I had said in the week, like Isaac Davis would be ideal for this sort of game. Because there's going to be a lot of back and forth transitions. I'm not saying he should have started, but just having him on the bench again when Sorba Thomas got tired and his crossing was poor, being able to bring someone on like Kumas, Isaac Davis, even Ruben, like all Kepakia, all these people who could have been on the bench or were on the bench, they'd have had legs, enthusiasm, and a lot of them have got a bit of a point to prove to the manager for one reason or another. So like. The hunger is there. Now, if I'm Lewis Kumas, I'm starting to be like, what more do I have to do? Like, I'm doing it at club level.
Yeah.
I'm doing it when I get 5 minutes or whatever for Wales, but you're still picking other players in front of me who are maybe not doing it.
100%. The problem is we have too many players who are all in the same caliber is the issue, right? Like, Mal says it there in the most recent comment. We have some decent players, but we don't have any world-class players anymore. Therefore, Bellamy needs to set up differently with the caliber of players we have available, which is a fair point. I think he does do that. Like I said, great.
Let me ask you a question on that, though, mate, just quickly, because I completely agree with it. But if you're going to do that, first and foremost, I think you have to be defensively solid. If you're going to play on a transition, if you're going to press high, you've got to have two centre-backs who are solid, and then probably two central midfielders who are solid. And then, obviously, you've got your full-backs. And you want your wingers to be hard-working so they can press, so they can get back in. Sorba Thomas is good at that for about an hour, and then he tires. We know that. He knows that. Everyone knows that. I thought midfield looked so much better with Jordan James back in. I have no idea why there's been this refusal to start him. It almost, again, comes back to a bit of stubbornness. Like, it's like, I know better than what everybody else is saying.
Yeah.
And look, don't get me wrong, right? Managers have to be stubborn. They have to believe in what they're doing. They have to believe in how they want to do it. They have to have that, the stubbornness. But I don't think it should be at the what's the word I'm looking for? Like, it shouldn't be like, to me, like, it should make things better. If your ideas are, if you're seeing the same sort of mistakes or the same issues game after game, then you've got to change something. And that doesn't matter who the manager is or what the team is. if you played a similar shape or formation for 3-4 games in a row, and for 3 of those games you have the same issues, something's got to change. It might be a little tweak, so asking someone to sit deeper, or it might be, no, I need to get someone else in there who's going to give me something different. That's a bit worrying to me, but I hope he sees it through. I hope he can. It's just a bit of a sticky spell, and I think my hope is that he turns to some of the younger players, and maybe that's what he looks to do. But you've got to win in the now as well. And Wales were in a good position to qualify.
Yep. I mean, we just got to thank North Macedonia for not beating fucking Kazakhstan, by the way. That keeps us obviously in it, doesn't it, with them? So if we win our next 2 games, we'll obviously go to the playoff and stuff. But North Macedonia, no mugs, man. Like, they got some good players. Like,
they don't concede many, do they?
Yeah, they're 11. Ain't too. Mate, they drew 0-0 with Belgium both times, by the way, and we've conceded 8 against Belgium in that time. There's clearly, like you said, international football has been renowned to be not so much low scoring, but both teams normally of every standard of team, outside of like the top, 50, like they can defend, and I just think he's bringing a brand of football to international football, which is refreshing in the sense of, like, we're attacking, there's transitions, there's pace, there's crosses, like there's loads of things happening where normally, or like traditionally, international football is quite boring. I think that's like the thing that's, been like an evergreen sort of statement, I guess, over the years. And yeah, he is kind of refreshing in that sense, like the way he wants to play with the players we have. Like I back it. But like just looking at my 11 there versus their, Belgium's 11 on my screen here, like, Kevin De Bruyne, Jeremy Doku, Thibaut Courtois, 3 world-class players by every sort of aspect of football in different ways as well. I look at our side and I go, do we even have like Premier League? I wouldn't, not so much Premier League world class. I just mean like stand out in their league.
Do we have like a top quality player?
Not really. I'm looking at Ampadu, Wilson, and maybe Rodin on his day. Obviously, Nico. Like this, they're all. That's the problem is they're all the same. Like, well, no one.
Let me put this to you, then, mate. Right? Liverpool and Manchester United both were in the market for wing backs in the last 12 months.
Yeah,
and neither one of them considered Nico Williams. So, when you look at the sort of bigger clubs in the Premier League, they're not looking at those. They are looking at maybe like some of the younger Welsh players who haven't quite come through yet, but that's based more on potential and stuff like that. But like the players, don't get me wrong, right? Nico Williams is what, 24?
24, yeah.
Same with Ampadu. So those players will form a very good base. They're very experienced at international football. I said about a year ago probably that I thought Jordan James and Ampadu would be our sort of midfield 2 for 10 plus years, and I still stand by that. Yeah. But like we haven't seen. Do you know what's weird? It feels like it's been a long time since we just saw Ampadu, James, Harry Wilson, or Ampadu, James, Wilson, and Brooks. There's like a refusal to. I don't know what
play
it is.
The obvious players.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Like it's look, we haven't got a load of players, and just don't. I like on one side, I think you can't be too critical of him because he wants to play attacking football, and I think he understands to a certain degree, or when he speaks, he seems to understand the limitations that face us
from
a depth point of view. But then on the other hand, you feel like the way he sets up, not the way he wants to play, because I think you can play the way he wants to, but still not be so defensively open. But the way he sets up doesn't allow you to have that sort of defensive, I don't know, like structure or basis, foundation sort of thing. But and then incidentally, the midfield was way better against Belgium in terms of that structure because you had Jordan James and you had Ampadu in there.
Mm-hmm.
But then the back 4 looked just all over the place, apart from Rodin. I thought Rodin was excellent, actually, in both England and the Belgium game. But
I
the
agree.
rest of them,
He always seems to rise to the top, Rose, and I got to give it to him. This is like goal out of the way. Like he always seems to like, even when he's just watching the game, he's always so commanding, and he's obviously a natural leader. It seems like without being a captain, I guess. But like he is just the one where I feel safe with him at the back. No disrespect, I don't feel that way with a Cabango, and I can't, as much as I do like Mepham, and I would put a case forward to say I think Mepham should have started ahead of Cabango personally. With how
I agree with that.
His club form's been going, and he's been in the Welsh setup over the last sort of couple of camps more so than ever before. Because the first few weeks or months, under Bellamy, he couldn't get a sniff. Like actually, could not get a minute. It was a bit not baffling because he wasn't playing with his club, and we didn't know where he was going to end up. He's obviously ended up at West Brom, but I'm a bit baffled with the Cabango one personally. I know you could argue, yeah, maybe is he a bit quicker than a Mepham? Maybe, fine. Like, does that help Ben? But clearly it didn't help Ben. On paper it might have, but we saw it. Doku ran ragged. And I'm not saying Mepham would have stopped that necessarily, but I just think he's a bit more comfortable on the ball. There was a few times where Cabango would get the ball, and the passes he can make are so limited from the left side as a right footer. He's not using his left, which, I can't blame him. Like, he's just not both-footed, which is fine. Not many players are. But, like, the actual ball, they were just so straight all the time. He made one good one, I remember, where someone got in. It might have been Sparky. It was probably first half, I think. He sort of, dinked one over the top, and it was actually a really good ball. And fair enough, he did make one or two. But for the most part, I just never felt comfortable with him on the ball. And he would, always look for Ben. And Ben was in, weird positions where, he was trying to come inside, and he always had somebody sort of a Doku was kind of pressing him quite high, and it just never looked comfortable. And yeah, I just didn't like it. I really didn't like what I was sort of seeing from that side of things. I gotta be honest. I gotta be critical of Wilson as well, man. Mate, he was fucking. He didn't. I mean, did he touch a ball?
But then equally, right? I was this for one. He was so poor. So I understand leaving him for an hour, right? Because he's been the player for Bellamy. But after an hour, I'm taking him off, and I'm either putting Brooks in there or I'm putting Ruben Colwell in there. Something different. I wouldn't have been against putting Brooks in there. I think he's a bit better in the middle and stuff. But to just keep these players out there who were struggling, or even when they got tired, when you have options, is just poor. Now, I agree with what Paul said in the comments there, that we miss the pace of Daniel James
in a game like this. Yeah,
big time.
Yeah.
But so here's the thing, going forward, I want to see Rodri and Lawler in there playing now. I want to see that partnership building for the future. But I accept that they're probably going to go slowly because Dylan's 19. But what I would like to see is us use a back three of Davis, Rodri and Lawler.
Yeah.
To bed him in. You've got two experienced lads next to you, with the idea that eventually it's going to be a two of Lawler and Rodri. And then, if Ben Davis, when he does ever, if he retires or whatever, you can put Mepham, you could put Cabango or whoever in there, and they'll be fine. You've got, 100%. But I would like to see that base. I would like to see Ampadu and Jordan James. They are your starting midfielders. I would like to see Nico go back to the left. I got to be honest.
Yeah.
I just feel like the angles that he receives the ball suit his game more, because he looks to get the ball and his first thought is to dribble forward. And when you receive it on the right, you're limited in, you receive it and then you're just going up the line. Whereas when you receive it on the left, you're forced to, because he's right. Right footed, isn't he? You're forced to open your body up to receive it with your stronger foot. But what that does is it opens up like a whole pitch for him to then, he can go up the line, he can go inside, he can go towards goal. And I just think it suits him a little bit better. And then that way you can get in, whether it's De Silva, although I wasn't massively impressed with him over the last couple of games. Kapaki was one I know that Bellamy likes. I know he struggled a little bit against Canada, but people forget the Canadian wingers was really good.
Really good.
He would have been
Champions League, Europa League level. Yeah.
Yeah, they were very, very good. And it was his first game for Wales. So you've got to give him a bit of leeway. So that, I would like to see that sort of back five. I probably would like to see Capaccio in there, I think you have to start bedding some of these youngsters in. like we did with Nico and Ampadu and the rest of them. But you have to also maybe dip them in and out sometimes. But I think that's a good base. You've got pace, you've
100%.
got ball playing ability, you've got experience, you've got power. Harry Wilson's batting for the next game. So is he going to just do the obvious or the easy and go, he likes Cullen, so is he just going to drop him in there? I personally think that's a waste of a number 10 position. I'd rather see David Brooks in there, but I wouldn't even play Brooks there. I'd probably play, if we're going to play like the 5-3-2
or whatever.
5-3-2 effectively, or 4-3 or 3-4-3. I'd give Ruben Colwill a go alongside David Brooks off whoever, or I'd give just someone else a go, like Isaac Davis or Lewis Kumas. Give someone else a go. Give Brennan a chance as a 9 with maybe, I don't know, like a David Brooks and a Ruben behind him or something. Like players who are genuinely going to drop in, be really creative with the way they pass and move, and see if he does better with those type of players, trying to get him in behind. And maybe that's how you unlock Brennan Johnson for Wales, is play on the transition and try and get him in behind, use his pace, but have creative players behind him to do it. I don't know, but
I agree.
Ultimately, I just want to see some fresh faces in there, mate.
I mean, I think this is the time to do it. We've got Liechtenstein away. Like, they're the worst team. They haven't scored a goal. They've conceded 23 goals in 6 games. There's no reason why. I'm not saying stick anyone in there and we'll just do the job, but that's just not how football works. But yeah, I think we should have a bit of sort of creative freedom with, the fact that Harry Wilson is suspended. I mean, the telling tale for me is, mate, Cullen didn't even get a minute against fucking Belgium. What does that tell you? Let's be honest now. If you go from starting most games under Bellamy, and okay, he's had a few games, and this is nothing to do with Swansea Cardiff at all, and you're not coming on at all again in the most important game, what does that tell you, genuinely? For me, that tells me he's sort of not trusted anymore, personally. But that's what I read into that. And I know Kiefer only had 5 minutes. I get it. It was a weird substitution pattern, don't get me wrong. But the fact he didn't even get a minute is a bit telling for me.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. But also, mate, and because people always think it's like a Swansea thing with me, my criticism of Cullen, I feel sorry for him in a way.
Mm-hmm.
His club form hasn't been great. He hasn't played constantly for Swansea. But also, he's a 9 or a 10. That's his position, 9 or 10.
But he's not big enough for not a 9.
But do you know what he's not, mate? He's not a fucking number 8. And
I think it's a weird one, mate. I don't know what position he is. That's the honest truth. He's not big enough to be a 9. I don't think he's I mean, he works hard. Yeah, I don't think he's actually quality-wise good enough to be a 10 from a technical standpoint. I'm not saying he can't do the pressing and stuff. He clearly can. But there's a reason why he's not playing in the Prem and Harry Wilson is, right? Just be honest about it. They're both left-footed. They're both very similar players. Same for Brooks. They're all in that same little caliber. There's a reason why Cullen's just not there. And I think it's probably down to physicality and the lack of quality. That's just the fact. Those are just the facts, I think. If you're just looking at a championship player compared to a Prem player, they do it more often. But at the same time, I just don't know what position he's that good at, genuinely. And that's not a dig at him. I just don't know what. I look at him and go, oh, mate, his left foot is unbelievable. I just don't get that vibe. Where I look at Ruben, I go, yeah, I know he lacks in, in certain physical aspects as far as getting around the pitch and stuff in certain ways. But man, you give him 5 yards, he could just score them from 40 yards and we've just won the game. He's got that Bale Ramsey-esque about him. He just does. This is a fact. I just don't know what Bellamy sees other than the hard-working-esque nature of a Cullen. But everyone works hard, mate. You can't tell me he works harder than a Wilson or a Brooks or whoever in that position you want to say, a Broadhead. They'll all do the same job. They'll run through a brick wall because Bellamy is that type of guy. Any of us who are playing for Bellamy would run through a brick wall, it feels like, wouldn't it? That's just a fact. Mm-hmm. I just don't know what is so special about him. Maybe it's nothing, but there's clearly something that's kept him in the team for a while.
And this is the other side of it, right? And people again, people will think this is a Cardiff thing, but I'm not. I'm on about the skill set specifically. So it could be just any two players, but it just happens that it's a Cardiff and a Swansea player.
Yeah.
Joe, what the manager seems to like about Cullen, Joel Colwell provides that. Like, he gets about everywhere, he presses, he's like, he can do it for 90 minutes, he's just got his energy. But you know what else he does?
Go on.
Is he can receive the ball under pressure, he can carry the ball, and he wins all his duels. So I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, well, with the greatest of respect, why is Liam Cullen starting games? Because he can run around a bit. Why is Sparky starting against Belgium? Because he can press. Like, that's not a reason to start someone unless you've got like, with like the Sparky thing. I kind of get it if you've got like two players right next to him or right behind him, who are going to benefit from that press that he's doing. Like, and he's going to cause the chaos, which is then going to allow these kind of unbelievable players to
flourish.
But we didn't set up like that. So it's just such a weird thing, like, you know, and it's confusing, mate. And I think Craig has put himself under unnecessary pressure in the last 4 games. I really do. I think playing the England game was ridiculous anyway. Like, I cannot fathom why we've played that game.
It's got to be a money grab, mate, haven't it? Surely they've probably like shared the gate or something. It has to be. Like, let's just call a spade a spade. Like, it's got to be.
It's going to cost them, mate.
Oh yeah, I don't disagree with that.
I retweeted something earlier from someone that said, like, if a certain game goes against us, we could end up in pot 4.
I know
because of the England loss.
Right. Yeah. By the way, the comments today have been unbelievable. By the way, just a little side note.
I'll bring some up now.
Mine says there. Martin Ryan, Bellamy's a stubborn person. We pressed too hard against Belgium, a counter-attacking team. We needed a middle to low block. But like Martin says, Bellamy probably didn't want to bow to that. And that then goes back to what I said about the Courtois thing. We expect long balls, we expect big Kiefer, and the archetype of that is, combined with a low or medium block team. That's just how that works, right? Big man up front, 10 men behind the ball, launch up to him, and then maybe get runners off. Like, that is what Bellamy wants to distill from, the Welsh mindset, which I can't knock him for. Like, that was what Page basically did, until obviously, Bale sort of retired and stuff. Like, it's a hard watch. Like, I get it. It's not entertaining. But don't you have to put your ego aside sometimes and go, you know what? We've just lost 4-3 away. If we do the same thing, we're probably going to have another pinball game, which we did. It was fucking 4-2, right? Like, the scorelines weren't that different. They were 1 goal off, right? Like, it's the same thing happened sort of twice in many ways. And he's just tried to fight fire with fire, where I just think, man, what could have happened if we did maybe go to like a 5, like you said, of some sort, and just bank in for good periods of that game and just frustrate Belgium and just let them play in front of us? Because they only had 1 fast player, and it was Doku. Like, nobody else can really run. De Bruyne is coming towards the end of things. De Ketelaere, like I said, he's a bit of a fairy. Like, he doesn't really run. He just fucking holds the ball up, and he has got a nice little left foot. Obviously, he won the pen, which is a crazy decision, but whatever.
Yeah, let me ask you about those pens, mate. Because
go on, mate.
I feel really sorry for Jordan James. I do, because I thought he had a really good game. But that just one moment of madness. And there was a guy in the comments, and look, I welcome all comments as long as people are not insulting, like, people are not bothered. Everyone's entitled to opinion. But he was saying, like, he never wants to see Jordan James wear a Wales shirt ever again. It was a disgrace. And I was like, he had a split second and he just moved his arm to, it was just like a pure instinct thing. And everyone focused on that. And I was like, but the kid has had like this unbelievable game. He's been up and down and been everywhere on the pitch. And now you're focused on that. And don't get me wrong, that penalty absolutely killed us. But I know a lot of the comments tonight have said the first penalty just knocked the wind out of us and we never, ever recovered from it. First one is interesting, right? Because players now, they're just chipping it against people's hands. And it's a joke,
mate. No, it's just a joke. Like, what are we doing, mate? Like, the issue is a lot, and I'm not saying all these refs, but like whoever's, I think Bellamy blamed it on UEFA or whatever. They write the script or whatever. Like, if you've not played the game, it's quite hard to like kind of realize how like that just isn't a pen.
Yeah, it's like
it should be obvious
to go.
It's just like he's not even looking. He's a meter away from him. If that, like, you've got to take these variables into play, and I just think slowing it down and just seeing the ball touch his hand is like, of course, it's a pen. It's hit his hand. Like they're just going off like the obvious sort of things that happen. Whereas like there's no variables at play. Like they're not going, well, he's a meter away. He's not even looking. He's in a natural position because he is. He's sort of low down. You're not gonna like. I know everyone says you just put your hands behind your back, but like you just don't do that as a footballer all the time. Like you can't just fucking put your hands behind the back all the time in the box. Can't. Balance is a thing, you know, like center of gravity is a thing. You need your arms. And it's just like, it's just so disappointing, mate, because it knocks the wind out of us, like you said. And it's hard to.
The problem is, mate, as well, though, is say they changed the rules, right, to make it more crystal clear. And they just went, if it touches your hand, it's handball. Players are so skillful; it's quite easy to instigate
kick it against them. Yeah,
so easy to do. And I think I wouldn't be shocked if that Belgian player tried to do that because
there was no one in the box, by the way, mate.
Yeah, I can't really see what he was trying to do. It's incredible, mate, and that changes the game because they were.
And you know what's mad? Sorry, mate. You know what's mad? De Bruyne is on the edge of the box, free, ready to just wrap something in if the ball comes close to him. He's screaming at Charles Ketelaere, like, just pass me the ball. And he's obviously just kicked it against Amptu's hand and got a pen out of it. And De Bruyne obviously gets his penalty sort of scored. And it's just like, how lucky is that, man? Like, why ain't he passing to, like, the greatest Belgian player ever right on the edge of the box? And obviously, you know, it's just mental, mate. It's so sad because we had a wicked start and it really
Belgium
did
was shell-shocked, mate, in that first 5 minutes.
They were.
First 5-10 minutes. They did not know what to do. And I just thought, wow. If we can just pinch like a second one or a penalty or something now, I really feel like they might have fallen apart. But we just, we never quite.
Mad. Yeah, Miles nailed it again with the pen thing. And I agree with Paul as well. Yeah, Jordan James was probably just frustrated. He had a wicked game a couple of minutes before the end. And it's one of them where like the ball's bouncing up to you and it's kind of like a weird instinct to like do that. You know, I know it like slow it down. It looks stupid. Why are you moving your arm towards the ball? But like, it's bouncing to him at like a weird angle, and it's just one of those awkward ones where instinct just gets the better of you. Sometimes it's tiredness as well, fatigue, and you just do something just stupid. It was stupid, but again, I don't see any fault in what he did. But I don't necessarily think he meant to do it. Obviously, right? Because like know, it's just one of them weird ones. It looks horrible. Yeah, it's a split-second decision, fatigued, at the end of the game, frustration. It's a lot of that goes into it. It's not just as black and white as people would want to see it as.
So I found that tweet.
Yeah.
So this is from a BBC Wales journalist. If Wales win their final 2 games, but Poland draw versus Holland and then beat Malta, they'd be ahead of Wales for pot 1 by 2 to 3 points. Wales lost 2.43 points by losing to England. So picking that game rather than versus a winnable, lowly ranked side could end up being literally the difference from being in a really strong sort of position for the playoffs and for the World Cup the World Cup playoffs.
Did we lose Si? You with us, Si? Is the stream completely gone? Let me know in the chat, lads. I'm going to try and search it up now. Here we go. Si's back.
Yeah, it just makes it that decision to play England just makes it puzzling. Like I cannot understand what they were thinking. Just having the game that intense, and as it was, because the game was over by 20-minute mark, it ended up being like an actual friendly. But you imagine if like Wales had got something like a set piece or something early and scored, that game would have been really, really feisty and like you're talking like 3 days before the biggest game of the year, like for Wales. Made no sense. And then you add in the, obviously the problems that are caused with the qualification and playoffs and pots and stuff. It's a weird one, isn't it? It's like, I can't really understand.
Like I said, unless there's like a monetary gain from it, I just don't see. And even then, it feels still crazy to do it. Like, yeah, it's just a baffling decision. 3 or 4 game days before, the biggest game of our year by a mile. And I'm looking at the 11 that started. I mean, so you got Kiefer there, Cullen started, De Silva, 1, 2, 3. Only and Johnson. So like more than half the team started that Belgium game. I know they came off and stuff and whatever. Not all of them played 90. But I mean, Brooksy played 90 there. Interestingly, as did Roden. But you just can't tell me that doesn't take things out of the players, like, from a fatigue level. And, I don't care if you can, recover in 3 days or whatever. Like, there's a difference between just recovering for a normal game and recovering for, like, playing Belgium in the magnitude of what's, at stake there was for us. So, yeah, looking back, that feels like a massive mistake. And it's hard to just blame it on the England game, like why we didn't beat Belgium, but at the same time, there's no way it helped. Like, I can't agree with that. We've got Sai back.
Yeah, sorry, mate. I don't know what's going on. My laptop's just keeps crashing. The internet keeps crashing, so I'm gonna have to do it on my phone. I might.
You're all good, mate.
So yeah, it's I don't know what's going on with my internet tonight. Yeah, mate. Look, Bellamys I don't think he's under pressure in terms of losing his job, but I think he's under scrutiny more than he has been. And I think he's brought it on himself, mate. I honestly do. I just don't. I think the Kazakhstan game, if he goes into that like he approached previous away fixtures at the start of his tenure, then I think we still probably win 1-0, but we are more secure and we don't look so worryingly open. Same with the Canada game. The Canada game, again, doesn't really matter. It's a friendly. Gave a couple of youngsters a go. But again, if he sets up with a bit more structure, like he had done previously, no one's really making too much of that. We probably get a draw out of it. So he hasn't lost at that point. Like, he's only lost the 1 game at that point to Belgium. If we don't play the England game, but certainly if we just been a bit more defensively, it's the structure, mate, which I think has killed him in those games. Because then he went from, we've only lost against Belgium in a 4-3 game, which was really close, to a last-minute goal, to suddenly struggling past Kazakhstan, losing to Canada, losing to England pretty embarrassingly, and then going into the biggest game of the season. And there's not much belief or confidence in it. Whereas pre-Kazakhstan, there was so much belief in Craig Bellamy and what he was trying to build with Wales. And I feel like he's contributed to that undoing a little bit. I still think he's the right guy for the job, and I still think he can turn it around. But I do think he's going to have to turn to some different players now, because I think there's a few in there which either aren't doing it or maybe aren't that happy either.
Yeah, man. I think there'll be some stern conversations between player and manager, I guess, maybe going into this next international break. Hopefully everyone can stay fit now with their clubs for a few weeks until we have those fixtures. But yeah, you're right, mate. He picks a team at the end of the day. I know the players are obviously the ones ultimately have the biggest say. They're on the pitch. I sort of state the obvious, but yeah, I think something needs to give. I think Bellamy needs to maybe sort of like, stomach doing something a bit different, maybe, which he's done, but just in ways where like it just seemed, well, it clearly hasn't worked in the last couple of weeks or months, let's say. But in fact, there was like this, there's like obviously the breath of fresh air, when he was first in and we were fucking invincible. It felt like it just feels like we've just lost our sort of like invincibility shield, which is fine. Like, they're football players, they're not superhuman, and I get all that. But there was like this, oh wow, fucking like Bellamy's not conceding goal. Like, we're flying here. Like, and it was, I don't know, there was like a recency bias sort of baked into that, and maybe like lack of opponents type of thing. as far as what we faced at the time, and sort of false hope to a degree. But at the same time, it felt there was like this real sense of wow, like he's got us playing, by the way, which I can't say he still hasn't been, but I just think, yeah, maybe sometimes you've got to stomach certain things, and you just got to put your ego aside and go, yeah, we might just need to bank in for a lot longer than we like to, because at the end of the day, we want to see results. Ultimately, every Welsh fan wants to be at the World Cup, and if Bellamy's style of play gets in the way of that, or the lack of him not willing to adapt in certain games, well, that'll be disappointing, won't it? Because that then is like a Bellamy versus the fans situation. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm not saying like the players don't have a blame in this, because the players are playing the game. We know that. But do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course, mate. And I think the other side of that is like players are not stupid either. Right. And I'm not saying this about any individual player, just any player. If there's a player on the bench who's not being used, who they think can do something or could do something, and there's players either being brought on or playing regularly who are not doing the job, they get pissed off with that. The players get pissed off with that. They talk to each other. They get frustrated. They might be fully behind the manager, but if the general consensus is why isn't Lewis Kumas playing instead of Brennan, or why isn't Ruben Colwell being given a chance, or why does Liam Cullen get picked all the time? He doesn't offer much, or whatever it may be. It could be anyone, right? It's not about an individual, but it's just about players talk. They're human beings, and I don't think it's unfair to question the manager's tactics or his selection, whether that's the squad or the 11s that he's picking. Because ultimately, he'll live and die in terms of his job. He will live and he'll live by those selections. That will be what either makes him a success and he qualifies, or it'll be his undoing. But at the moment, it feels like it's going to be his undoing. But I'm hoping that it won't. And I'm hoping that he maybe takes a bit of time now in this next break for him before the next squad's named. And he just almost just have a reset in it. Just like go, right, let's just start from scratch and just pick, have a look who's available. Who are my best keepers available? What other keepers do I have outside of Darlow and Ward and this? Now, I think I would argue that Darlow is probably the best option, but let's go and have a look again and see if there's any young keepers who maybe can be brought up into the squad to work with the other two. Let's look at what 21s have been doing really well. We've had Charlie Crew in the squad a couple of times, and he's never really been given a chance. Is it worth giving him half hour in one of these games? Is it worth giving Ruben Colwell or Joel Colwell or whoever it may be? I'm not on about any individual player. I'm on about use the next period to find if there is any players who can give us something extra, something different, or just revitalize and get that belief back. Because at the start of his reign, the belief was 100% there. And at the moment, it feels like it's not.
Yeah, no, I couldn't say any better myself, Si. I really couldn't. Mal says there, Bellamy's tenure has mirrored BBM's to a certain extent so far, with both coaches having really good starts after falling away a bit. Similar types of coaches too. I think, I think it's just. I think you could do that. You could sort of, name another 8 or 9 coaches, and it would be the same thing. Like there's always a fall off. Like in a relationship, there's always a honeymoon period, and it does just, it does dwindle in certain aspects. And we're all human. We're all like subject to those sort of things happening to us, right? It's just sort of forces of nature that just happen. Like it's impossible just to keep up or sustain certain elements. But I think there is, the only thing I'm like annoyed about, I guess, as a fan is just like, it doesn't seem like he's willing to compromise. And that's maybe the only gripe I really have. Like I can't fault him for coming in and changing everything up, like and having an amazing effect early on, but everything wears off, after periods of time. I think, freshen it up a little bit, just change it around. I'm not asking you to go into a low block against Liechtenstein, I'm just asking you to do things sometimes and maybe aren't, fully in your sort of way of wanting to win football games, but ultimately there's more than one way, way to skin a cat, sadly, and I just don't think he's willing to even look at the other ways. It feels like, anyway. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, I agree, mate, and I hope that he kind of goes back to the drawing board to a certain extent, because I'd like to see something different come the next. Not necessarily a whole different squad. I'd just like to see us adapt and be a bit more flexible, ultimately.
Yeah.
So that's the international break done, mate. It feels like, in one way, it feels like it's gone really quick because the first show I done with you. But in the other hand, this international break has been long and painful. And from a Cardiff point of view, the first international break absolutely killed our momentum. And then this one, I think, came at a good time where we were just a bit up and down. So hopefully, with club football back on the weekend, we can get back to it. Tell the people where they can find you, mate, on the interwebs.
Yeah, so just Harry Trades on YouTube if you're into buying and selling and trading digital football cards and playing five-a-side sort of fantasy games around that. It's basically FPL, but with a bit of money involved, effectively. And yeah, on Twitter, Harry Trades YT. I'll follow anyone back that follows me. As long as it's obvious that you're a Welsh or Cardiff fan, or even Swansea or anything, you'll definitely be in my feed, because I don't really have too many sort of Welsh or /Cardiff interactions on Twitter. So yeah, that'd be great.
And so you don't follow all the porn bots back then, do you?
No, I don't, sadly.
Missing out there. No, it's 100%. Carry on. Spread the word. Cardiff City World, Cymru Am Byth podcast. I was going to drop a bombshell then, but I'll leave that. Yeah, if you like this Cardiff City World football shirt that I have on, I've still got a couple left. Just hit me up, and we'll sort it out. I've actually had 2 emails during the show saying, "Can I have one of them shirts?" Yeah, I have got a few left. I had a few extra delivered, so I've got a few. But
so
looks like they're going to go quick.
I'll wear in my videos.
You've got to pay, mate. Everyone's got to pay.
Yeah, I'll pay.
Everyone's got to pay.
No,
what size do you want?
I haven't got. I don't know. I'm a bit chubby these days. Probably a large. I was just thinking, I have a couple of Wales shirts here, but I don't have all my Cardiff ones are back home. So yeah, it'd be nice.
I got anything from 4XL down, I think.
Yeah, large, X or whatever. Like, I probably wouldn't even. I'll obviously wear it, but like it'll probably be in here as well, next to the Wales ones and that.
Yeah, we'll sort it out, mate. No worries. I got a large for you.
Love stuff.
Right, nice one, ladies and gentlemen. I got to jump on with an interview now with an ex-Cardiff City footballer, so got to go. But
all the best.
In a bit, mate. Nice one. Thank you very much, as always. Thank you to everyone who tuned in. I'll be back tomorrow. Me and Harry will be back soon.
Couple of weeks.
In a bit. Couple of weeks, indeed, mate.
This channel is powered by an incredible membership community on Cardiff City World and patreon.com/AcePodcastNation. Becoming a member unlocks exclusive rewards, from early access to live event tickets, bonus content, and even the occasional inside transfer scoop when we get it. But more importantly, it allows us to bring you top quality Cardiff City content 7 days a week. Across those 7 days, we're talking match previews, exclusive interviews, instant match reactions, the breakdown podcast, tactical deep dives, the Spotlight series, Bluebirds Rewind, Academy Focus, and just so much more. Led by myself, backed by an army of passionate Cardiff City fans, this is content created by fans for fans. Balanced, professional, and 100% all about the club we all love. If you enjoy what we do, then join the community today and support what we are doing as we help to keep Cardiff City World flying high.